Hello everybody, I am Bucky Badger W, and today I will be giving you my college football week 1 preview complete with predictions. And so we are just going to start it off with North Carolina at Wake Forest. And this should be a close game. North Carolina, they start out the season 2 wins at home. This is their first road game, but they beat South Carolina and Miami. Both teams I would have probably picked to beat them by at least 10. Wake Forest also starts out the season good. They beat Rice. They start out the season, they did pretty good. But I think my pick for this game is going to be North Carolina 27, Wake Forest 21. And I say that because I just trust North Carolina's quarterback more. I trust Sam Hauser and the North Carolina defense a lot more than Wake Forest, and I think that this can be a close game. But North Carolina, they have been pulling out these close games, and it seems like they have ice in their veins up there in Chapel Hill. Next up, we got Pitt at Penn State, and Penn State has dominated this series over the last couple of years, and after seeing what Penn State has done to both Idaho and Buffalo in these first 2 weeks, I don't expect anything different, especially at home. I do not expect Penn State to even have a close game against Pitt. Pitt is a lot worse than last year, and my prediction in this game, 58-21 Penn State. The defense, a little suspect. But I think Pitt scores some garbage time points, but I think Penn State, they're just a lot better than this Pitt team and a lot better coached. And next up is Clemson at Syracuse. The last time the Clemson went to Syracuse upset them. Last season, Syracuse almost came into Death Valley and won that game. They were by far the team that was closest to beating Clemson. Maybe Texas A&M was closer, but we're not going to dispute that. Syracuse came really close to beating Clemson last year. Can they do it again? No. After seeing how Clemson, they really just dismantled Texas A&M, and then Syracuse gets blown out by a Maryland team that looks really good to start out, but they're not Clemson. They just got blown out by Maryland. That did not give me a ton of hope about Syracuse in this game. My final score prediction, I think that Syracuse's defense is okay and their offense manages to put up some points in this game. But Clemson is just way more talented. I think 45-14 is a good final score for this Clemson-Syracuse game. There's really no marquee matchup this week. But anyway, Iowa versus Iowa State is our next matchup, and this one I think should be close. I haven't seen anything bad from Iowa so far. If I'm correct, I don't think that they've allowed a single point. Or no, I think they might have against Miami of Ohio. But they've looked really impressive. That has been against Miami of Ohio and Rutgers. So, I don't really know what to think about it. But Iowa State, they have not looked very impressive. Week 2, they look pretty good, but week 1, they almost lose at home against Northern Iowa. They almost fumbled the game away on the last play of the game. Their quarterback, Brock Purdy, is able to jump on the fumble, and it saves them the game. And they really escaped in that game. Can they escape from Iowa? I don't think so. I think Iowa right now, they're better coached, and I actually think that they have the better team. I have Iowa in this game 24-21. In a very close game, very low scoring, but Iowa gets this one against Iowa State. And next is Texas Tech versus Arizona. And the question in this game is, can Alan Bowman outduel Khalil Tate? Based on what we saw with Arizona losing week 1 to Hawaii, I think the answer is yes. Texas Tech hasn't looked great in their first couple weeks, but they haven't looked bad. Neither is Arizona, really. Even though they did lose to Hawaii did look pretty good against Oregon State. But anyway, I think that Alan Bowman can outduel Khalil Tate and get a win for the Red Raiders, even on the road in Arizona. I'd say a good final score for this game, 31-27. 31-24, actually, for Texas Tech versus Arizona. Next is Arizona State at Michigan State. Both teams undefeated right now. Last year, Michigan State, they went out west. They went into the desert, and they got upset by Arizona State. Arizona State ended up actually being the better team last year. They lose N'Keal Harry. They lose Manny Wilkins. Or no, they don't. They do not lose Manny Wilkins. But they do lose N'Keal Harry. He was a big part of the offense. I think Michigan State got better, and I actually think Eno Benjamin, can he lead Arizona State to a win? I think it's really close, and it's a coin flip, I think. But I think Michigan State's defense is able to win this game for them, and their offense is able to do just enough. I would not be shocked to see 2 or 3 defensive touchdowns, or a spot where Michigan State gets a turnover and puts their offense inside the 10 or inside the 20 in a really good position to score. I'd probably have this game 21-20 in the favor of Michigan State. Next, we got Washington State versus Houston. Washington State at Houston, and neither of these teams have been impressive at all. Houston, they get blown out at Oklahoma week 1, and Oklahoma's really good. And it's not that they lost to Oklahoma; it's that they really looked helpless, and even their offense didn't look good at all against the Oklahoma defense. Was not impressed at all with Houston. That said, can they take down Washington State? I would pick Washington State. 23-20, I think, for Washington State. I'm picking a lot of low-scoring, close games for these. I tried to only get close games on here. I didn't try to get a lot of the Clemson, Syracuse, Pitt, Penn State games. They're kind of big-time matchups, though, so they just fell on this list. But I would have Washington State in this game just because of how helpless Houston looked against Oklahoma. Next up, we got Stanford at UCF, and I can't have Stanford winning this game after seeing how bad they looked against USC last week. USC finished that game out on a 38-0 run. KJ Costello not being there it probably had a lot to do with that game. But after last week, especially with how UCF looked against Florida Atlantic, they dominated them better than Ohio State could dominate them. You can't count UCF out. They're still a really good team. They got Brandon Wimbush at quarterback. They're an extremely good team. They're for sure capable of knocking off Stanford. I would for sure have them favored in this game. And I have them 48-24 winning this game. Actually, 51-24 now that I think about it. Now we got the team that's responsible for beating up Stanford, USC, and they're going up against BYU this week. USC, even on the road, they lost JT Daniels last week. They didn't skip a beat. They destroyed Stanford. They're a top 25 team now. I don't think that they're that much worse than Utah. Utah went on the road, and they struggled in Provo. But at the same time, last week, BYU went on the road at Tennessee, and they really looked overmatched. They were lucky to win that game. And they looked overmatched at a Tennessee team that looked worse than Georgia State. So, can you really... I don't think that I can really give them a ton of credit. I think I almost have to have USC in this game. I have USC 38-24 in this game. Probably BYU kind of in it the whole game, but never really with that great of a chance to win. Next, we have Alabama at South Carolina, and in 2010, Alabama went to South Carolina. They got upset. And could I see that happening again? Probably not. You got Ryan Helinski at quarterback. Is he the savior? I think he's better than Jake Bentley. But like, he doesn't have the playmaking ability of Jake Bentley, and against this Alabama defense, that's gonna be rushing him all day, forcing him to make really tough passes. This is not a great time for him to come in. I think South Carolina gets blown out in this game. I would say around a score of 59-23. Last but certainly not least, we have Florida at Kentucky. And last year, Kentucky, nobody beats Kentucky 32 years in a row. They went on the road. They beat Florida. Last year, you could argue, and I think you could have a pretty valid argument that Kentucky was better than Florida. The thing is, Kentucky's not better than Florida this year. They lose Terry Wilson. He gets injured, out for the rest of the season. I think Sawyer Stevens is his name. He's stepping in. Not going to act like I'm a Sawyer Stevens expert. Don't know a lot about him. I think he's pretty good at Troy. Is he going to be good against Florida, though? I doubt it. They lose Benny Snell from last year. Asim Rose hasn't really been able to replace his production yet. C.J. Conrad, they lose him. They lose a couple offensive linemen. They lose Josh Allen. They lose Jordan Jenkins. They lose a lot of DBs. Kentucky just loses a lot, and it is at home. I think it'll be a close game, but eventually I think Florida, their talent just wins this game, and especially with their defense. I think that they win this game 24-17. But I wouldn't be too surprised if Kentucky came out and won this game. And now for my upset picks. First of all, I got Middle Tennessee State over Duke. The line right now is Duke -7. So, I mean, I think they believe a little in Duke. But I think Middle Tennessee State, they went on the road. They looked good against Michigan. Duke looked okay against Alabama. But I would not be shocked if Middle Tennessee State pulled off a win at Duke. And this next one I think I'm really confident in, and this is Eastern Michigan over Illinois. Eastern Michigan, I can't really remember what they've done this year. But they're a pretty good group of 5 team as far as group of 5 teams go. Illinois, they're a very bad Big Ten team. And they're improving. They beat both UConn and Akron. They really destroyed Akron. But I actually might pick Eastern Michigan in this game. I think Eastern Michigan is a good enough group of 5 team. I think they're coming into this game with a lot of fire. I don't know if Illinois is. And I think Eastern Michigan might actually be the better team. So I might actually pick Eastern Michigan in that game. The game that I said that I would pick someone in week 1 when I had upset picks was I said I might pick Hawaii over Arizona. Hawaii ended up winning this game, or that game. So, I mean, maybe you should trust me. I don't know. I got 2 quick ones here. How about Louisville at Western Kentucky? Louisville may be looking ahead to an opportunity to get a win at Florida State. At Western Kentucky, that's a pretty decent group of 5 team, and I think that they have the capability to upset this Louisville team. And how about also the Citadel at Georgia Tech? The Citadel was up at halftime against Alabama before Alabama really turned on the gas and started to pull away from the Citadel after halftime. But on the road at Alabama, they were winning at halftime. That's more than basically every team can say, except for Georgia and Clemson. And yeah, you know, they're a very hard team to stop with the triple option. Georgia Tech, they're learning a new offense after having the triple option. Learning that new offense is going to be tough. They've already showed it. They have not played good early in the season. I could for sure see the Citadel winning this game. That is about it. You know, if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Comment if you disagreed with me in this video. And until next time, I'm Bucky Badger W saying peace out.